morning. My name is Christopher Edmonston, and I've been asked to pray today to start us off. Before we pray, though, I want to say how grateful I have been to have been Governor Cooper's pastor these past 13 years. He has been, as you all know, and why you're so excited to be here today, a faithful and wonderful governor. But I think I can say this for nearly all of us here. He's an even better friend. For this, we should all be most grateful and most thankful. So please join hearts and minds in a word of prayer. Holy One, today we give you thanks for this beautiful place, North Carolina, its beautiful landscapes and its even more beautiful people. This land of the longleaf pine, from Greensboro to Goldsboro, from Tarboro to Black Mountain, from Wrightsville Beach to Banner Elk. It is rich and abundant and diverse. May we never take this fine place where we live for granted. At this moment, Holy One, we especially pray for those North Carolinians in our western counties who are still working hard to rebuild all that was lost or to create a new future in the wake of Helene. May we also never take our leaders, our own sons and daughters, for granted. And today we give you thanks for a son of this place, our state, this county, born not far from here, Roy Cooper, our governor, these 8 years. We thank you for the gifts you vested in him and for the faithful way he shared those gifts with all 10 million of us. Gifts of wisdom and integrity, statesmanship, energy, intelligence, imagination, and love. We thank you for the good work that he did to help our state be healthier, to help our state be more prosperous, how he worked to continue to protect our environment and our landscapes. We thank you for the ways that he helped us to recover from hurricanes, COVIDs, and economic challenges. He has indeed left his mark, and our prayer is that others will learn from his example and follow. Finally, God of heaven and earth, we pray for him in days to come. Bless him and his wife Kristen and their daughters with health and happiness. They have all given much to us to help us grow and prosper, and our prayer is that their days ahead would be filled with hope and happiness. Bless this world we love. Make us ever mindful of the needs of others, especially those on the margins who are the most vulnerable and those who find themselves in an hour of need. Help us to see a day when your justice rolls down like waters and freedom and opportunity ring across every corner of this state. It is in your holy name that we pray. Amen.
Good morning. First, let me say how wonderful it is to be in Nashville, North Carolina. Many of us were here 20 years ago. Judge Cooper, you will remember, at the Agricultural Center when he first started this journey to be Attorney General. And then we were back in this same facility in 2015 when he decided he wanted to run for governor. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Christy Jones, and for many years I served as Governor Cooper's Chief of Staff. But today I'm a former Chief of Staff, and I'm here as a friend and a proud North Carolinian. You know, when Sadie called me and asked me, or she told me about the event, she said, we're having this big event to celebrate the governor's accomplishments. Will you come? And I said, I'll see what I can do. And she goes, well, Christy, we want you to introduce the governor. I was like, okay. I said, well, I've got 3 questions for you, Sadie. She said, what is it? I said, first, does the governor know I'm going to introduce him? And she says, yeah, why do you ask? The governor and I have a pact that if one of us should die first, the other would speak at the funeral. And I knew he would say, it's not that kind of farewell speech. We're not there yet. I've got stuff to do. And then, of course, I said, well, what time, Sadie? Because I can never say no to Team Cooper. And then she said, well, Christy, what's the third question? I said, Sadie, the third question is, can I say whatever I want to say? And Sadie said, sure. And then she kind of looked kind of puzzled, like, haven't you always been able to say what you wanted to say? You've worked for him for 25 years. You've introduced him a lot. And let me just say, when we were in the back room, the governor said, they told you you could say whatever you wanted to say? And I said, yes. They said I could say whatever I wanted to say. Because for the past 25 years, every time I went to introduce him, the humble Roy Cooper would say, right before I get on stage, Christy, it's not about me. It's about North Carolina. It's about our team. Christy, it's not about me. And when he got tired of telling me, he would send Julia in my office, and Julia would say, Christy, I know you're going to do a good job, but the boss said it's not about him. You can't talk about him. You've got to talk about North Carolina's accomplishments. And even when I gave the Martin Luther King speech earlier this year, as he was hugging me after he introduced me, in my ear he said, Christy, you can't talk about me. It's about Martin Luther King. So today, finally, I can say what I want to. And Roy Cooper, I'm here to say that everything that North Carolina has accomplished for the last 35 plus years, it is because of you. It is because of you. It is because of you. Been wanting to say it is about you. I declare it is about you. And it started a long time ago, and Judge Cooper will probably remember this. Even when you were a young student at UNC, you realized that if North Carolina was going to be great, even our smartest, our Morehead scholars, had to become public servants. And that's what you did. And then you decided to return here to Nashville to join the family practice. And you could have, like many of your other friends, just decided to practice law and make a lot of money. But not you, Roy Cooper. You decided to step up and become a public servant and run for State House. Now, we all know you wanted a job with air conditioning, but there were a lot of buildings with air conditions besides the one on Jones Street. And it was you, Roy Cooper, who at one time had 4 jobs. You were an attorney, you were the managing partner at your law firm, you were a state senator, and the majority leader. And it was you, Roy Cooper, in the midst of all that, could still be what the girls called the best dad ever. And a wonderful husband, I might add, she would say. And then it was you, Roy Cooper, who said, you know what? I've learned a lot of lessons, and I've applied and done great things in Eastern North Carolina. I want to take this and apply it all over North Carolina. And you decided to run for Attorney General. It was you, Roy Cooper, who became Attorney General. And you decided that you wanted to fight for consumers, so much so that you were willing to take on the big banking industry. And it was you, Roy Cooper, who said, I'm going to protect North Carolina's environment, even if it meant fighting pollutants from other states. And it was you, and I'm most proud, that would always do the right thing, even when it was hard. And I know Julia, Stephen, and I, and those who worked in the DOJ, know how much you love to be an Attorney General. But it was you, Roy Cooper, who was willing to sacrifice and step up when you saw your state was heading in the wrong direction. You, Roy Cooper, said, I will challenge an incumbent, which no one had ever beat an incumbent in North Carolina. It was you, Roy Cooper, that did that because you wanted North Carolina to be in a better place. And it was you who became the 75th governor of North Carolina. And I think you prayed about it and you had a vision for North Carolina. I'm personally grateful that you wanted to make sure that North Carolina had a state government that looked like the people it served and had the most diverse cabinet and set the bar for future cabinets. Now, I can look at him, y'all can't see his face, but he is squirming up here. He is saying, who told Christy she could have all this time? I told you, Governor. They said I could do whatever I want. And I know you all think this is just my opinion. And if you've ever worked with the governor, you know he likes facts, stats, and data. So let me give you a few of the numbers. I believe that the more than 600,000 people who now have quality health care insurance say it was you, Roy Cooper. It was you, Roy Cooper. It was you because when everybody else wanted to give up on expanding Medicaid, you never gave up. And I'm sure the 2 million people who now have $4 billion less of medical debt say, thank God for Roy Cooper. It was you, Roy Cooper, because you had a vision where people in North Carolina would be healthier. You know, throughout my career, we've all heard teachers, parents, students, thank you for your tireless efforts to highlight, sustain, grow, and magnify public education. Because you, Roy Cooper, wanted a North Carolina where people were more educated. 640,000 new jobs were created during your leadership. North Carolina was named 2 times the best state in the country to do business because you wanted a North Carolina where people would have more money in their pockets. You, Roy Cooper, led North Carolina through a global pandemic with compassion, empathy, and the strategy to save lives and our economy because of you. And because of you, people who really want and deserved a second chance are getting that second chance because you believed in reentry, because of you. Now, today we will celebrate all of his wonderful accomplishments, and I'm so proud of those accomplishments. But for me, it's about who you are that I'm most proud of. I'm most proud that you would take time to write thousands of handwritten notes to people, that you would wipe the tears of grieving families' faces, that you would call to check on all of us and check on our families. It was you who inspired me and everyone in this room to be the best person we could be and to be public servants. It is you, Roy Cooper, who values everyone, because you wanted a North Carolina where people could live lives of abundance and purpose. We thank God for you, Roy Cooper. Ladies and gentlemen, join with me as we welcome North Carolina's greatest governor, Roy Cooper.
No editors on that speech. Good morning, everybody. I see so many friends out there. Thank you. Christopher, thank you for your friendship, and Colleen and kids for coming today. My pastor, since she came from Tarboro to White Memorial in Raleigh. Christy Jones, thank you for that introduction. Let me just tell you this. I have had the best staff in the state's history over the years. And Christy, I'm grateful for people like you and Julia White and Noel Talley and Susan Moore, people who have been with me at least 24 years or longer, and dozens more of you here today who have been with me through the entire time as governor and longer. Will all people who have served in the governor's office or one of my campaigns or cabinet agencies, please stand up today. And let's just give all of these guys a big hand. Thank you. Thank you. You guys have helped make it all possible. You know, in answer to a question from a reporter last week about what I'd miss most as governor, I said, ingress and egress to sporting events. I will miss that. But the thing I will miss the most is the extraordinary public servants that I have worked with year in and year out. I'm deeply grateful for you, deeply grateful for your friendship and all you've done. I'm honored to see so many friends, new and old. It means so much you take time to be here today. But before I get any further, I want to thank my amazing family. You don't do a job like this alone. Your family serves too. I know my mom and dad are looking down and smiling. My amazing daughters, Hillary, Natalie, and Claire, also accomplished, along with my great son-in-law, Zach. My brother, Pell, a respected judge here in Nash, Edgecombe, and Wilson counties, and his wonderful wife, Meredith. And, of course, our fantastic First Lady, Kristen Cooper. Kristen has helped me in countless ways, in addition to visiting all 100 counties, supporting our children and our arts, and through some very long decades of public service, 3 Democratic primaries, and 13 general elections. She's got her head in her hands. My family has been with me, steadfast, but never sparing the truth when I needed to hear it. That's a hard line to walk. And for that and so much more, I am grateful to them. And in particular, Kristen, you have been a cradle of support and stability, offering me a deep well of love and humor and real talk in moments I needed it most. I'm grateful for your love, support, and friendship. And I want you to stand for everybody, please. It's great to come home to be here with my extended family, the people here in my beloved Nash County and Rocky Mountain. This is where Pell and I were born and raised. It's where we worked summers on the farm, and yes, Christy learned that we wanted a job with air conditioning. Where we went to Sunday school and church every Sunday, where we played Little League and then high school sports, where we learned from our mom and dad, our public school teachers and preachers, our neighbors, our entire community, the values that are the bedrock of our state: integrity, hard work, looking out for your neighbor. In 1957, 3 weeks before I was born, the North Carolina General Assembly did something that makes us unique among other states. They adopted a state toast that many of you know. If you grew up here, you likely learned the words as a child. If you moved here, you've certainly heard it recited and been curious about it. What you may not know is that the toast was actually written as a poem at the turn of the 19th century, some 50 years before it was adopted by the legislature. It is a beautiful toast that brings to life the natural splendor found across our state: flowers, longleaf pines, sunshine. And while most of the toast describes our state's enduring beauty, there's a line that describes our state's enduring spirit. The end of the first verse says, North Carolina is where the weak grow strong and the strong grow great. It never ceases to amaze me that this line of poetry written about our state 100 years ago could just as easily have been written yesterday to evoke the soul of North Carolina. It's a line that reminds us that wherever we are in life, we can and we will get better. We are never done with the work. That our people are North Carolina's engine. That the choices we make today will impact not just our lives, but the generations to come. When I became governor in 2017, I established a CEO mission statement that everybody knows. I wanted to build a North Carolina where people are better educated and healthier, with more money in their pockets and the opportunity to live a life of purpose and abundance. That more money in the pockets really gets a cheer in the 5th grade, I'll tell you that. I knew these goals mattered to our quality of life now and for decades into the future, bringing strength and greatness for our people. Today, in 2024, the progress we've made together on every part of that mission has been remarkable. Much of it is a great comeback story. I was sworn in at 12:01 a.m. on January the 1st, 2017. Many of you all were there. And while I physically took the oath in the state capitol, I also stood amid the rubble of House Bill 2. Major companies were pulling jobs out of our state. Musicians and entertainers were canceling shows. Sporting events were being moved. The film industry pretty much picked up and left town. The list goes on and on. North Carolina's reputation was in tatters. But there was one intangible impact that weighed heavy on me that New Year's Eve and the days to come. It was that so many people told me, this isn't who we are. This isn't what our state is about. We could measure the impact of HB2 and lost jobs and lost revenue and lost plans, but so many North Carolinians, they had lost their belief in our state. I knew we had to turn that around fast, and I knew we could, because in North Carolina, our success is our people. We rise time and again because of the resiliency of every community. But even as we got the legislature to erase HB2 from the books, these past 8 years certainly tested us in other ways. With historic challenges, as Christy mentioned, from devastating storms, and we pray for our friends in Western North Carolina and continue to work, to the shock of a global pandemic, our comeback story was never a given. But we did come back. Today, we have added more than 640,000 good-paying jobs since 2017. We're the 3rd fastest growing state in the country, the best state for business, and the epicenter for the clean energy economy. We have covered more than 600,000 people with health insurance through Medicaid expansion. And we have restored our reputation as a welcoming place where people can thrive, innovate, and grow. Going back centuries, the hallmark of North Carolina's success has been our innovative spirit. It's how 240 years ago we started the first public university in the nation to open its doors. How 121 years ago we became first in flight. How 70 years ago a forward-looking group of North Carolinians created the Research Triangle Park to diversify our economy. During my time as governor, we've seen the fruits of that innovative spirit through Medicaid expansion, medical debt relief, a boom in the clean energy economy, massive connections to high-speed internet, investments in our education, and so much more. If our comeback story was never a given, then getting Medicaid expansion passed was a little more than a pipe dream when I became governor. But you know, the prospect of getting health care for hundreds of thousands of North Carolinians was too important. I knew that passing Medicaid expansion would be the working families bill of the decade. It's a story that took many twists and turns, and through all of them, we knew we could never, ever give up. We didn't. You didn't. We assembled a unique coalition of advocates who cared about this for different reasons, but who could influence their own Republican legislators. Business leaders who needed healthy workers. Rural county commissioners whose hospitals were on the edge of closing. Tough-on-crime Republican sheriffs came and walked the hall. They saw the toll of mental illness and substance abuse and knew that so many people in their jails needed health care and not handcuffs. And it worked. On December the 1st of last year, I handed Penny the state's first Medicaid expansion card with tears in her eyes and in mine. I went from getting sued in my first few weeks in office by Republican legislative leaders for trying to expand Medicaid to welcoming those same leaders to the mansion on a beautiful spring day 6 years later to sign the Medicaid expansion bill into law. Talk about climbing a tall mountain. We did it together. But the bill, Christy, wasn't about me or them. Medicaid expansion was always about the hard-working North Carolinians who desperately needed and deserved access to health care. The working people that I met all over this state. The child care teacher in Garner, the custodian in High Point, the home health worker in Charlotte. We expanded Medicaid for them and their families. And today, just over 1 year after the program went live, and half the time that we thought it would take, we have enrolled more than 600,000 North Carolinians in quality health care already. Shows how much it was desperately needed. This is a generational investment in people's health because, you know, health, like wealth, is passed down. When someone can live a healthier life today, that passes on to their children and their children's children. It's how the weak grow strong and the strong grow great. The same goes for our work to get rid of medical debt. As Medicaid expansion reached more and more people, it was clear they were really happy to finally have health insurance, but often had a mountain of hospital bills that they couldn't pay, stopping them from getting credit, buying homes, sometimes getting a job. So together with feedback from hospitals and national experts and local advocates, we created a pioneering solution that leverages federal funds to relieve $4 billion in medical debt for 2 million North Carolinians. A plan that is now a roadmap for other states. Back in 2018, as the gears were still turning to realize the dream of Medicaid expansion, we created another important roadmap. I told my team I wanted to grow our economy while protecting our environment. And the best way to do that was to prioritize clean energy. I then signed Executive Order 80, which reaffirmed our commitment to fight climate change and lead our transition to clean energy. The order called for the creation of a North Carolina Clean Energy Plan, which we put together with input from all of the interested parties over about a period of 18 months. The plan itself generated worldwide attention for North Carolina, helping us to attract clean energy businesses with great paying jobs. But we knew we needed to put it into law to get the best results. And when our chance came, we put our clean energy roadmap to work and passed House Bill 951, which made North Carolina just the second state in the Southeast to put a carbon reduction requirement into law for our power producers, a 70% reduction by 2030 with attainment of carbon zero by 2050. Nobody expected we could pass a bipartisan law like this. But we were ready to seize the moment because we had done the work. We knew where we wanted to go, and we knew how to get there. And we've continued to use executive orders to push our state toward more renewable energy like wind and solar and more electric vehicles. And all of it has meant more better paying jobs for North Carolina. The investments we've made today have cemented our place as the epicenter of the clean energy economy. Let's take electric vehicles. I hadn't driven in 8 years. I might give me one. Stop rolling your eyes. Stop rolling your eyes. Stop it. It's going to be great. Might be a convertible. Anyway. Well, electric vehicles. The supply chain for components to make them is quickly becoming a made in North Carolina industry. We have a claim to every link in the supply chain, from the silicon chips to the electric batteries, all the way to the charging stations. But these investments are also a promise to future generations. They're a commitment to a stronger economy and a cleaner environment for our children and our grandchildren. But, and you knew I was going to talk about it, perhaps nowhere is our future on better display than the public school classrooms around our state. From our earliest learners to our community colleges and universities. You've heard it. You know it. My mom was a public school teacher right here in Nash County. I had a picture of her in the governor's office, and I had the State Board of Education come, and I passed Mom's picture around and make sure they all looked at it. Most of you know how much I love our teachers, and I apologize to each of you because my mom was the best teacher in the history of our state. And as you've all heard, people still come up to me and say, I want to pay you a compliment. I'll think it's about me. And they'll say, your mom was the best teacher I ever had. They still say it to this day. That is the impression, though, that great teachers leave. And along with my children, we were taught by many of those amazing public school teachers right here in Nash County. Let's give those teachers a big hand. At the start of my time as governor, we succeeded in pushing the General Assembly further than they otherwise would have gone on education investments, expanding North Carolina pre-K, reinstating the Teacher Fellows Program, and we've gotten public school teachers a total of 19% in raises over the years. Obviously, not nearly enough, but important to get. And after hearing from people in higher education that small emergency expenses like car repairs or medical bills were causing some students to drop out just before graduation, we created Finish Line grants with federal funds. It worked so well to help keep students in school that the legislature began to put it in the budget. And now more than 16,000 of these grants have helped students cross the finish line with a degree or credential so they can provide for their families. Many of them have been right here at Nash Community College. Give Nash Community College a big... And thank you, Dr. Honeycutt, and all of the strong trustees. Some of you guys are here in the community supporting this great community college. In the past, let me tell you just a little bit about our public schools. In the past 8 years, North Carolina's public schools have achieved the highest graduation rate in history, 87%. North Carolina has more national board certified teachers than any state in America. Last year, our public schools set records in AP exams. And our community colleges and universities have helped me close more economic deals than I could list in one speech. We see the weak grow strong and the strong grow great because of public education. I'm going to get real and speak truth for a second here. And yet, right-wing extremists and for-profit schools have peddled a false narrative that our public schools are failing, using that lie to justify their programs to rob public taxpayer money from public schools and send it to private schools for the wealthy through vouchers. So, in my last year as governor, I designated 2024 as the year of public schools in North Carolina, because I wanted North Carolina to know, in all caps and boldface, that quality public education is the key to our state's success. We expanded Medicaid by pulling together a non-traditional coalition of people who were able to convince Republican legislators it was important. We're beginning to do the same thing for our public schools. And we have to succeed to keep our promise and ensure that our children can live up to theirs. We cannot stop now. We cannot let our children down. And it's not just education. The generational investments we've made in our state will echo into the future. But every inch of headway we've made demands our continued vigilance. Just as our comeback story was never a given, progress is never guaranteed. We have to work for it. We have to earn it. And I know we can, because we've made it this far together. We've built a North Carolina that's healthier, better educated, with more money in people's pockets. And we stand ready to welcome prosperity with open arms for generations to come, strong and great. But we're not done. I'm not done. And you aren't either. You aren't either. As we work to protect our progress, we must also build on our success. And through more challenges we will face, and I know that challenges will come, I know that we can find a path to success carved on finding common ground. Although we must adhere to our values and stand up for what we believe, we cannot allow the divisive tenor of today's politics to rule the day. Not when we have so much promise to fulfill. I know I leave this office in the good hands of Governor-elect Josh Stein. He will continue to build on our success and blaze his own new trails. But for the last 8 years, getting to lead the state I love so much has been an extraordinary privilege. Challenging, humbling, and the best job I've ever had. And I have valued every day. As our great state toast concludes in the last verse, the near land, the dear land, whatever fate, the blessed land, the best land, the old North State. Being born in North Carolina, that was luck. But being governor of North Carolina, that's because so many people came together with God's guidance and blessings to help me. And together, we have made a difference. Thank you, and may God bless the great state of North Carolina and the United States of America. Thank you. Thank you. I look forward to seeing everybody. Thanks very much.